Independent developed games have been skyrocketing in both popularity and quality over the past few years. With so many tools needed for game creation being readily available in this modern day of the internet, people with the talent and patience to learn are now able to try their hand at making any kind of game they want. And I adore independent games. There are so many fantastic ones that I've sunk more hours into than some AAA big budget titles. They're almost always so different and quirky. Not to mention they have some of the more interesting mechanics to offer, since most are only made by one or two people. So I make sure to always keep my ear close to the ground on places like Twitter. I have my eye on so many fantastic projects, and I can't wait for a lot of them. But one of them recently hit its release on Steam, and I really need to talk about it. Undefeated looked like such an interesting game when I was first coming across it on Twitter. From the looks of it, you just looked like a Superman, but like literally. Your character looks identical to Superboy from Young Justice, minus the big red S on his chest, you know. So I put it on my calendar and I waited until I could play the game myself. And the Superman comparisons don't stop there. I've never personally played Superman 64, but I've seen the jokes, and a small part of me thinks Undefeated has too. Because you literally fly through hoops for one of the main side challenge objectives. And I wish I could say the rest of the game is more inspired than that, but unfortunately it doesn't feel like giving the player unique things to do was at the top of the priority list. The game opens up with a really interesting cinematic that made me actually laugh out loud. But the energy that's exuded by this opening had me legitimately hooked. This hero squaring up against this obviously evil green dude and his menacing henchmen. You start off by dispatching them with ease, which demonstrates that you actually can't take damage in this game. Then it's on to the big man himself. This little tutorial does a good job of teaching the player how everything works and feels. After you stop the tutorial boss, you're let loose to do whatever you want, but honestly, whatever you want isn't as much as you might hope. So this game operates as an open world superhero game. Your character is able to do a number of impressive things, such as fly with tremendous force, zip quickly between multiple targets, launch shockwaves as projectiles, do a superhero landing.
Woo! Superhero landing! Yeah, that's really hard on your knee.
And do context-sensitive helper objectives. As in most open-world games, there are plenty of side objectives to help you level up and gain extra experience to get better stats that prepare you for the tougher main missions. Well, I say that like there's a larger overarching plot, but there isn't. I wish the game spent more time in the beginning telling us where our character comes from, why he can't be beat, what is this city, who are these people that are constantly trying to destroy everything. We never find out, unfortunately. I kind of feel bad for reviewing this game in its current state. Steam says that its release is its full release, but as of now, it's just kind of barren. There are only two types of extra courses in the game: destruction and flight challenges. Both categories have several courses represented by the typical easy, normal, and hard difficulties. Flight challenges are the epitome of Superman 64, but admittedly much cooler. The graphical flares and strong character posing in this game go a long way to make you feel like this unstoppable badass. And once you start to master the little quirks of the flight system, the challenges are really good at gradually making the player better. And that goes for both types of challenges. The destruction runs are probably my favorite. The way that you're able to bounce between these nodes with every attack is really addicting. And when you're in a dash and initiate an attack on a chain of nodes, the character will dash between them all and it feels so good to pull off in a successful chain. The harder difficulty did make it a little more challenging to get that 5-star ranking by spacing all the nodes a little further apart. When you're not looking for a mission to do and you're just kind of wandering around this extremely small island, you can run into some of these little random citizens in need. The only ones I've seen are lifting rubble and clapping to extinguish a fire. They got old kinda quick, and I think I even saw one happen in the same place. But I've saved the best type of mission for last. These are the main missions in the game, but they're basically just a host of 3 boss fights. And all 3 fights are the same thing, but with different looks that change nothing, and it's a bit tougher. So, once you start the encounter, the supervillain of the day starts being mean and terrorizing the city. It's your job to smack them around enough until they just kinda disappear, which is weird. But if I can't be killed, how is this really a boss fight? You might be asking. Well, it's actually kinda clever. As the villain is destroying the city has a health bar. You have to take them out before the city is taken out. You have to fly around and stun them from a distance with your projectile strikes, then move in close for some good old-fashioned fisticuffs. But towards the second boss, they start seriously doing some damage to the city. A lot faster than I could take their health down, in fact. So I discovered you have to put out the damages, which recovers the city's health a bit. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's pretty cool. It feels really good to chase the bosses down and keep the pressure up with your projectiles and then rush in with a flurry attack. And there are even a couple counterattack opportunities to stun them immediately if you can make it in time. However, my only problem with these fights is how detached you actually feel from everything. It feels really fun when you're close to them and engaged in the battle, but once you get too close for too long, they dash away. Then you have to chase them down and reposition yourself in the air and line up your projectiles to hit them. But try not to slide too far into them or else they'll fly away again and you'll just waste even more of the city's health. It almost feels like it's trying to be some sort of Xenoverse fighting game, which I would be totally down with. But you need to give me more than just a basic punch and projectile button. In those games, there are combos, special moves, transformations to put more energy on the line, mega projectiles, and not to mention the threat of actually losing. I learned that if you continue to use your projectile after they're stunned, the projectile damage is just as effective and contributes to their stun being broken for the next time around too. So I was perpetually breaking their stun in just a few hits of having just finished smacking them around. And on top of that, I would aim my projectile to hit the damages behind the boss, so I would be getting health back while I was still damaging the boss. I had fun with this one, and I think it could be the foundation for something amazing, but they definitely need to add more to it. There are essentially 3 major things to do in this game at the moment, and it only took me 1 hour to beat it and see everything it has to offer. They all feel really good to do, but I would love to see so much more added to this. I want to see some more smaller enemy encounters, maybe some more moves like a grapple, maybe some new special moves, and some new areas to explore for sure. And giving the boss fights a little bit more to do would definitely be on the top of my list too. Make them more Xenoverse and less Tom and Jerry. Do you have a favorite indie game at the moment? Are you excited for any that are coming out? Let me know in the comments. But anyway, I appreciate you for watching. So thanks for stopping by and have a great day.